is you should have out your own piece of notebook paper. If you will, get your notes titled and dated with whatever today's date is. And we are going to be converting between terminating decimals, fractions, and percents. Most of this should be a review for you from last year. Okay, so this hopefully will go pretty quick with lots of examples, and I'm going to teach you a couple shortcuts as well. Okay. All right, so let's start off with a terminating decimal. So if I have 0.875 as my terminating decimal, I need to get a fraction and I need to get a percent. I'm actually going to start with the percent first, okay? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write down the decimal again. Okay, so I have 0.875. In order to turn a decimal into a percent, all you have to do is move the decimal, okay? And if you're going from a decimal to a percent, you're going to move it 2 places to the right. So it's right here, so we're going to move it 1, 2. So that now it's between the 7 and the 5. And then you have to rewrite it. So we have 87.5, and you have to label with a percent. Okay, so you just move it 2 places to the right if it's going from a decimal to a percent. All right, now to turn that decimal into a fraction, let's first get our fraction bar. The first thing you're going to do is take the digits after the decimal, so the 875, and those go on top of your fraction bar. And then if it's a terminating decimal, which means it ends, we're going to put it over, always start with a 1, and then you're going to add as many zeros as you have numbers on top. So on top there is 1, 2, 3 digits, so you're going to add 3 zeros to the bottom. So you end up putting that 875 over 1,000. Okay. Now, as always, you need to see if that fraction will simplify. Okay. So normally you would see what digits go into both of those evenly. But I'm going to teach you a shortcut this year. So using the calculator that I let you borrow, if you type in 875, and then you're going to hit the ABC button. It looks like this. It's in the second row, the third button down. You're going to hit that, and then you'll see this little sign. And then you're going to type in the bottom number, so 1,000. And you're going to hit enter. So if that fraction will simplify, notice that it told you that it is now 7 over 8. If it will simplify, it's going to give you the simplified fraction. So our 2 answers are 7 over 8 and 87.5%. That's the fraction number for 0.875, and that is the percent for 0.875. All right, let's do another one. All right, this time I'm going to give you a fraction to start off with, which means we need the decimal and we need the percent. Okay, so when you're given a fraction, the easiest thing to come up with is the decimal. Guys, we've been doing that for the last couple days. All you have to do whenever you want to look at the decimal of a fraction is you divide. So you take the top number divided by the bottom, so 1 divided by 2, and you get 0.5. So now I take that decimal, 0.5, and I need to change it to a percent. Notice that I rewrote it, okay? This answer right here has to be clean, which means I can't have any loop-de-loops in that answer. So I'm going to move this decimal 2 places to the right. So I move it once, and I move it again. Okay? If you ever have any holes, notice this is a hole, you fill it with a 0. So we have 50%. So 0.5 is the same thing as 50%. All right, let's do another one. Lots of examples in this one. So this time I'm going to give you a percent to start out. Okay. So we're going to change it to a decimal, and we're going to change it to a fraction. All right, I'm going to rewrite that percent without the percent sign for the decimal. Now notice right now there is no decimal in that number. If there is no decimal that you can already see, that means it's automatically at the end. So I'm going to put the decimal at the end, and then in order to change it from a percent to a decimal, you need to move the decimal to the left 2. So we're going to go 1, 2. So now that decimal is in front of the 3. You could add that 0 in for a placeholder. Notice my answer does not have any loop-de-loops in it. I will not accept it if it's not a clean answer, if you haven't taken those out. And then to change it to a fraction, all you have to do is take the numbers behind the decimal, so the 3 and the 7, that goes on top. And then you're going to put it over 1, and then however many digits are up there. So right now there's 1, 2. So I'm going to put it over 100. And then you need to see if it will simplify. So 37, hit that ABC button. Type in 100, and then hit enter. Notice that the answer that they came back with you at was the same thing. So what they're telling you is 37 over 100 is already simplified. Okay, so 37% as a decimal is 0.37, and as a fraction is 37 over 100. Guys, remember, you need to pause at any point if I'm going too fast, or you need to go back and rewind if you didn't catch something. All right, let's look at this one. 45.5%. Okay. Guys, this appears like it's a decimal and it's a percent. Okay. So you have to be careful on these. If it ever has the percent sign, then it is automatically considered a percent. So you need to find the decimal and you need to find the fraction. Even though there's already a decimal in it, we still have to change it. We still have to move the decimal. Okay, so I'm going to take 45.5, and if I'm going from a percent to a decimal, I move it to the left. So we move it 1, 2. So now it's in front of the 4, so 0.455, and then I always add a 0 in the front for that placeholder. Notice my answer is nice and clean, okay? Can't have those loop-de-loops in there. Okay, so then for the fraction, we take all these numbers. So we have to take 4, 5, 5, and put that on top. And then your bottom number always starts with a 1. And then since there's 3 numbers on top, I have to add 3 zeros. Check if it will simplify. So punch it in, 455, ABC 1000. And you should get the answer of 91 over 200, which is your final answer. do another one. We got 2 more. All right, so you start off with the fraction, which means we need the decimal and we need the percent. So to change a fraction into a decimal, all you have to do is take the top number divided by the bottom number. So we get 0.475. Then to change it to a percent, notice I'm rewriting it over here because that one's already my clean answer. So when you're changing from a decimal to a percent, you move it 2 places to the right. So we move it 1, 2. So now it's in between the 7 and the 5. So we have 47.5%. And you have to rewrite that without the loop-de-loops in there. Remember, pause it at any point in time if I'm going too fast. You can also raise your hand and ask me any questions at any point in time. I would love to help you or talk you through an example as you're watching the video. All right. Give you a decimal, I want the percent, and I want the fraction. So remember those strategies. You should be pausing your video at this point to see if you can do it on your own, okay? And then I'm going to walk you through the answer anyway so you'll know whether or not you're right. Okay, so since it's a decimal and I'm changing it to a percent, I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2. So that I have 12, and you can leave the decimal in the back, but I never do, percent. And then for the fraction, you take all the numbers behind the decimal, so the 1 and the 2, you put it on top, start off with a 1, and then add as many zeros as there are digits. Then you need to see if it will simplify, and it does, to 3/25. All right, so in order for you to get your notes signed off on this section, I'm going to give you 3 examples that you have to do and get signed off by me in order to get your notes signed off. So you need to complete these 3 examples on your own. And then when you bring me your notes to be checked, these are the 3 that I'm checking for. So get those written down. You have to complete those 3 and give me the other 2 missing pieces. So this first one's a percent, so I need the decimal and the fraction. This second one's a decimal, so I need the fraction and the percent. And this last one's a fraction, so I need the decimal and the percent. Okay? So when you're done with those, bring those to me with your green paper, and I'll get your notes signed off.